Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I have a solo episode for you. I always love to sort of share with everyone where I am, and if I have challenges, I share them. If I have wins, I share them. But today I want to talk about what it feels like to be kind of stuck in a rut and what we can do. And I'm sharing that because that's kind of where I'm at right now. We're in summer. It tends to be a time where I get a little bit of challenged, and my kids are home for the summer and no school, and I just have less time to get what I want to get done. It's also a time where I get challenged with my thoughts about time. I tend to get overwhelmed easier. And this summer started with me not feeling very well, like health-wise, and I was really letting go of the things help keep me focused and productive because I just didn't have the energy. And so now that it's been a month of being in summer, my kids being home, and sort of switching in that transition, I want to record this episode because I want to get back to where I was. And I recorded an episode of my morning routine a few months back. I'll link that in the show notes. It's based on the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod and kind of my spin on it and how I do it. But I really stepped away from my routines and the habits that I had established for quite some time. They were pretty great habits, and I felt like I had a regular routine. And just over this last month, and even a little bit before that, if you're a mom with kids in especially elementary school, you know that there's a lot of busyness the month before summer. And I'm also trying to prep, making sure everything I have is ready for the podcast. And it was just a very busy time. So even in May, I would say I've been kind of letting go of my habits that I enjoy so much. Part of it was just not me feeling good. I was really tired and I was not prioritizing my sleep, but I feel like my strong habits of going to bed on time and getting my morning routine in it's really slipped. And now I feel like I'm in a rut because I just feel a little bit more unproductive. So if you have kids in school and you are in summer right now, you might understand this feeling. And that feeling of having a shortage of time, the transition to summer can be a little wonky. So as I've been thinking about this for myself, I thought I would just share what my plans are, what I'm going to be doing to get back on track, what I've done in the past too, because I've been through this before. There's cycles to things, and there are some times where I'm like, I'm oil pulling and I'm doing all the things, like all the extras, and I'm doing my turmeric shots, and then I get sick of that, doing all that, and I take a break from it, and then I go back to it. And I think that's the same thing with like my morning routine and different habits that I have. It gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get back into it and feel my best again and just feel more productive and all of the things. So I wanted to share what my plans are with all of you. And I'm also going to be very compassionate with myself at the same time, because this is something that it hasn't been that long since I've been kind of off track. I have good reasons for it, but also I want to start doing some things. So I think I have about 6 steps that I'm going to take and then I'm going to share with you. And I'm literally starting like this is day 1 as I record this. So I haven't let everything go, but like I feel like I have in a lot of other ways. So this is my plan. This is what I've done in the past. This is what I've learned from my teachers that have helped me in the past. And I'm just going to share it all with you. So number 1, and I did say be compassionate just a minute ago, giving myself grace. Yes, I've been going to bed late. I've not been meal planning or prepping, which really helps me because I'm busy like everyone. And I've even been skipping my workouts. But because, I haven't been feeling good and making this switch into summer, I've actually been listening to my body. So I'm not going to say this is nothing to beat myself up over. I've been allowing my body to rest when it needs rest. And after our recent episode with Bonnie Giller, I think it was episode 74, she talked about intuitive eating and exercise. I'm actually proud and happy that I am at the point now where I can listen to my body and its needs and not pushing through like I used to. So I actually took a week off working out because I was physically exhausted. I just wasn't feeling good. And yes, I don't like to do that because working out really helps me mentally. It makes me feel so much better. But I was able to listen to my body and be like, okay, I need a break from this. And that, I think, is a win. So I'm being compassionate with myself when it comes to that. But now that I'm feeling better, I'm getting my energy back, I want to make sure that I get my movement in. And that's a word that Bonnie uses, movement versus just exercise. I want to make sure whatever it is, especially, based on what I'm feeling, that I get it in because it just helps me in all the ways. I want to make sure that I wake up early enough to get my walks in before it's too hot. We're officially in hot season where I am. I don't like being hot and I complain a lot, but if I get up early enough, it's always fine. Where we live, it doesn't get hot too early. So if I get up early enough, I can get my walks in, I can take my dog and not die of heat exhaustion. Another thing is getting up, making sure I get up early enough to not just get my walks in, but if I want to do my exercise that day, planning my movement so I don't have to skip it, because if I don't wake up on time, if I don't wake up early enough, the day gets ahead of me. I can't do what I need to get done, and then I'm in a bad mood. So I definitely want to plan. And that's number 2, having a plan. So I was so excited to be free of plans when summer first started. And I was like, well, just do whatever and be, impulsive. And that only worked for a short time. Now that is out of my system, I feel like a plan and a schedule helps me, not only me, but the kids and their expectations. It helps prevent, what are we doing today, Mom? 7,000 times. I mean, it helps sometimes with that. But the plan is getting back to my routine, figuring out what that looks like. It's going to be a little bit different in the summer for us as a family. I am going to bed later than I normally do, like way later. And the sun is out so long and it's 8:00 and I just feel like I'm just getting started doing something. And before, when it was not summer, I would go to bed so much earlier, and I feel like that's affecting me. I'm not really a night owl anymore, so going to bed later has really messed me up. I need to wind down before I go to sleep, or I just have a hard time going to sleep. I also mentioned the nighttime routine before the morning time because that's where it starts for me. And the days I need to wake up really early, I have to make sure I can get that in order, or I'm a mess the next day. I'm just like, I struggle throughout the day if I don't get enough sleep. That's kind of something that I've realized about myself is I don't do well unless I've had like enough sleep. And I have not been getting to bed early enough for me to do that. And it shows, if I can feel it. For me, the routine in the summer is going to look different. I'm going to bring back my Miracle Morning in a modified way because it's really been on a pause. I have an episode on this one too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'll link the episode of Miracle Morning because I do like a modified version of it, and it's so helpful. I love it so much. So I'm really eager to get back into that, and to be able to do it, I have to go to bed earlier. So back to the planning too. My plan for my Miracle Morning or my morning routine, modified, whatever I want to call it, is to get back into doing my self Reiki. So I do Reiki on myself for the meditation or the silence portion. And I want to get back into doing that every day because it just makes such a difference in so many ways. And I'm also going to get back into reading my nonfiction books. I've really missed reading in the morning, which I was doing every day. And now that's just stopped. So that's number 2. Number 3 is mindfulness, which is on the heels of the practice of a morning routine, because when I take that silence before my day gets started, I do feel more focused throughout the day. And this summer, I have felt very distracted. I struggle to pay attention. I feel like I just go down rabbit holes where, if I'm in one area and I'm trying to focus on something, I get distracted by something else. So it's a big sign for me that mindfulness is lacking in my life right now. And it's so easy for me to get online to do something, and then before I know it, it's an hour has gone by. So being aware of that, being mindful, can just help avoid those times and help you get back on track if time management is an issue, or if that's one of the ruts that you're in, which it is for me. This is true for health and fitness too. When you are trying to eat a certain way or stay on a plan and you want to get healthy or you want to feel more energy, which is always my plan, my goal, once we sort of stop paying attention to what we're eating, or we're mindless, that can lead to mindless snacking, and it just can be detrimental if you have goals when it comes to your health. I like to have my meals ready to go, or at least some type of a plan, so that when I get busy, I don't have to just try to figure out what it is on the fly and end up eating something I don't want to eat, or skipping meals, which I've done. So eating things that don't leave me feeling great is not part of the plan this summer. So I need to get back to that as well. So number 4 is taking action. And my action plan, once I realized I didn't love how my summer was going so far, was to make a plan for my meals, like I was talking about. Grocery shop, also record this podcast, honestly, for accountability and to share with others who might be feeling the same way as me. I think getting my morning routine back in order, for as far as action goes, is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most. I think that's going to be a very powerful way to get back to the feeling that I want to feel. And I think taking action is going to look different for everyone based on where they are stuck. So what rut are you in? If you're feeling anxious and realize it's related to being online too much, which I've heard other moms talk to me about. They're like, I when I'm on scrolling too much, I just feel overall generally more anxious. And they have put 2 and 2 together. It's because they're online too much. So maybe for you, it's making a plan to get outside, take a walk in nature, call a friend to do this with you, or something that fills you up that's not screen related. I gave some examples for food because I know that's a common complaint of eating out more in the summer or overindulging, maybe at a barbecue or parties. Just knowing how to come back and balance all of that with a plan so you don't end up feeling worse is a great way to take action. Number 5, I love number 5 because I am a professional at it. And that is wasting time mentally. I'm so guilty of this. And I think a lot of people are, and they don't realize it. And this is something that I've learned from getting coached. When I get into this mental rut, I can end up wasting time by worrying, feeling overwhelmed. That one's a really counterintuitive one because you feel overwhelmed and that leads you to just feeling paralyzed to do anything. And then you have even more on your plate because instead of taking action, you're just busy feeling overwhelmed. And I do that. It's just so silly when I sit back and think about it. I'm like, what am I doing? It's such a time waste. You can waste time by judging yourself. It's like, man, I can't believe I'm not doing this and that. And this takes you away from what you could be doing in the first place. Instead of complaining about how worried you are and overwhelmed you are, what else could you do? Talking about that action step that would make you feel so much better. It's almost like I told this story in one of my past episodes of how I had this paperwork I needed to do. And I was like, oh, it's dreading it. And it's like, and then I'd be like, I'm so overwhelmed. I have so much to do. If I would have just done the paperwork in the first place without that middle step of worrying and complaining and being overwhelmed in the first place, I would have saved myself a lot of headache. I feel like the whole concept of time and how little we can feel we have, we need to reframe. We can reframe, and it can be and we also need to be more realistic with our time. Another time waster is people pleasing. Saying yes to something that you probably should say no to. This kind of goes back to your schedule and your planning. How can you, if you have a day planned and somebody asks you to do something, or you feel obligated to do something that you don't have on your plan, or it's not something that you really want to do in the first place, and you say yes, that is going to be a really powerful time waster. And you can really reclaim that energy, the time, if you look at your people pleasing, if that is an issue that you have. And I know that's common. It's like we want to be helpful, we want to do all the things, but especially when we're feeling in a rut or we're taxed out time-wise, energy-wise, we have to be more picky with what we do, what we say we're going to do, and what our needs are. We got to look at that. So my last plan of action to get out of my rut and back into my routine is to get inspired. And my favorite way to do this is by reading a great book on self-development or habits, nonfiction. I loved Atomic Habits. It's been so long since I've read that, so I think that's going to be in my summer reading rotation. There are some really great podcasts I can listen to help motivate me and get ideas flowing. And I love doing that, like when I'm on the road and just kind of putting my mind in a more positive place. And it helps, you can do it. I can do it. Like here's ideas. Here's a way you can do it. And that just helps my mindset tremendously. And that's why I'm such a big fan of podcasts, because you can listen to them for free. I also like to reconnect to my why. Why do I want to get my life more scheduled and organized? What are my wishes for my kids this summer is a question that I'm asking. How do I want to help my clients, and what do I want to take the time to focus on for me? How do I want to feel at the end of my day? I'm going to use these questions as journal prompts and see what happens, see what comes out, because if I have a powerful answer for these questions, I know I'm going to be more successful in this journey of my summer and trying to get back to where I feel like sometimes I just feel like I've gone so far backwards and I have so much work to do to get there, but I don't. It's really like we can just turn it around. It doesn't have to take too long. And also, journaling helps me with that. So that's something that I would do in my morning routine is I'm going to take these questions and just sit down, answer them, and see what comes up, because I feel like that'll help me do all of the other things on this list, like take action, make a plan, etc. So I will keep you posted on my summer. I do want to hear from you as well. Is there something you have been through where you were on track for a goal and then you've just let those positive habits go? Maybe you want to bring them back. Maybe not all of them, maybe some of them, but you lack motivation. Let me know. You can always send me a message on Instagram at Simply Jess Skincare. You can always send me an email as well. Step 1 is to realize, oops, I've kind of slipped. I used to do this. It made me feel great. I'm not doing it anymore. And you want to get back into it with a plan and with compassion for yourself, because that's how we roll around here. That's how it sticks too. Like, it doesn't stick from being mean to ourselves. So thank you so much for listening today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode or this show in general, please send it. I know so many of you share it on social media and with your friends, and I am so grateful for that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.